So I have a ton of gossip I have to cover in today's Real Housewives of Orange County Season 19 reunion part 2, pre-BravoCon 2025. And you're just not going to know which way I'm taking this video tonight because it's going to take some twists and turns. And then we're going to get into the recap. This time I'm going to focus on the gossip up front. Now, my goodness, do I have a lot to tell you. First and foremost, a patron, as a request, asked me to retell the story of Gretchen and her quote-unquote stalker for the purposes of, this video. So I'm going to quickly take you guys through what happened between Gretchen and her quote-unquote stalker and the cheating and Jeff to make sure you guys know this whole thing. And then I did a deep dive on one of the most disturbing posts that Gretchen allegedly liked. And I'm going to share the results of that research with you guys today as well. And then I have some other tea, and then we're going to get into the recap. And I got to share some stuff that happened this week with Tamra and Katie. Time codes are in the description. Like and hit the notification button, please. Okay, so I went on a deep dive of the most disturbing posts that people said Gretchen liked, because I, for my own self, needed to know if it was real, because I mentioned it on a previous show, via other influencers that were talking about it. But based on what I know is coming out in the reunion, I felt like it was timely for me to do this dive. So here's what I figured out. This account back in 2023, which is obviously way before the show is dealing with this problem, posts this: Real OG of New York City at Apples and Oranges, New York City is his handle. A thread exposing Real Housewives of Orange County album Gretchen Rossi's problematic views, 3 oranges, including racism, homophobia, transphobia, COVID misinformation, and anti-abortion stances, and more. So this is the thread that started this back in 2023. And on his account, he has loads of things that he's, reposting and stuff. I'm saying he, I don't know if it's a he, but, that he, I'm assuming, is reposting of Gretchen that shows she's pro-Trump, very extreme Republican. And so this is what he shows. As you can see, there's a picture from the reality TV guru from 2023 of her excited about a Trump hat. And then this is where he kind of loses me a little, because I see this posted on his feed in this long thread, which this one was the one that really sent me over the edge, because it's this very over-the-top Christian guy named Tyson James, who's a big Christian rapper and is extreme in his Christian views about politics and other things. Open the door to homosexuality, you open the door to pedophilia. You'll never win by normalizing perversion. And this is right on his branding, this guy. And you see that Gretchen Rossi and 1,750 others liked this post. And then you see some other information 21 comments, 22 reposts, 136 likes. Okay, let me zoom in on it for you. Do you see the comments where it says 21, it's got the little blurb above your head kind of symbol with 21, and there's a date there, July 14th, right? And then it says by Gretchen Rossi, and it says Tyson James music, sin is a slippery slope. You think it's bad now, give it a couple years. If you want to save the kids, start by calling homosexuality what it is. Okay, that's what the thing is under that little girl with the shush symbol, allegedly. And then, of course, the graphic of, his statement. Just to remind you again, this is what the full thing looks like. Now, I jumped to his Instagram feed to see where this post was. So I look July 14th, 2023, same day as allegedly this post was done, but this isn't it. Here, you can see it now in his feed. There it is on 3 down on the left. So then I looked for more. Here's another one from July 14, 2023, and you can see it in the chart I just showed you. See, it's the one where there's a video next to the t-shirt ones where there are 2 people, standing together. That screenshot is from that video next to it where it says July 14th. Anyway, as you can see, if you look up, if you look down around those July 14th posts, there's no image of that girl with the shushy face with, his text message overlaid on top of it. Although he does appear to follow that format. But there is no post with that little girl's face shushing. So then I kept looking. I'm like, well, let me just keep looking in the feed around the time. Here they are. Again, no shushy girl face. And more no shushy girl face. I checked, all the way to August 6th, right before the post is made with the thread of her being homophobic on X. Still nothing. Now, funny enough, when I go to July 14th, 2023, I do find the post where he says, when you opened the door to homosexuality, you opened the door to pedophilia, you'll never win by normalizing perversion. I find this is part of that shushy girl post, right? It's in the middle of it, makes it look like it was on his Instagram. So this is here, but no like from Gretchen Rossi, and no post with a shushy girl face that they could have possibly taken it from. Here it is where the influencers are showing it, by the way. Now, I tried to establish a connection from this musician and Gretchen friends, something, nothing. I'm trying to imagine a world where he would delete his post because maybe Gretchen asked him to. The entire post. But I'm kind of feeling that's far-fetched. So I don't really know what's going on here, but I can say that post does not exist on his feed in the time frame that it should. And it appears that someone might have taken an image of the little girl with the shushy face and put the flag over it of some sort, and then took some other commentary he wrote and doctored it, and then took the X that he really did and put it right in the middle of the shushy girl face, the musician really did, and made it look like a post like he's done before. But beyond that, I can't say that this is a real post that Gretchen liked, really, truly. And I looked on my own because I was willing to go either way on this. I was like, certainly there's, evidence to say that she could believe that, in this, but I also need to see it for sure myself, and I couldn't. Much like the women said they looked and tried to duplicate it, they couldn't figure it out either. I do know that they did an investigation, both NBC and Bravo, on this, and they're looking into all of this. That's why Tamra could get in a lot of trouble, because I guess a cyber expert was hired and they proved that these were doctored posts. That doesn't mean anything to me until I prove it to myself, which is why I did this exercise. Anyway, there's my take. Now let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so now I'm going to do a Patreon request. This was for a quick deep dive on what the hell happened between Gretchen Rossi and Jay Photoglou from season 4. You know this story. But I'm going to give you a good little mini dive here. Introducing Jay Photoglou from Real Housewives of Orange County, Big Topic, season 4. Jay was Gretchen's old boyfriend, aka friend of the family, aka guy she was cheating on Jeff, the old guy that she was with in the early seasons, aka stalker. So in order to start this Patreon's request, we need to go back to February 24th, 2009, when Seacoast Online wrote this. Despite Gretchen's protestations, Jay Photoglou says they've been together for more than a year. The man, Tamra Barney, accused Gretchen Rossi of dating while still engaged to her fiancé, who has since died of leukemia, is sending an email around to tell his side of the story. Tamra and Gretchen, who alternated between fighting and bonding throughout the season 4 of The Real Housewives of Orange County, finally had it out Tuesday on The Real Housewives Confess, a Watch What Happens Live special. This is like some weird reunion spin. He told Tamra that Gretchen dumped him by the side of the road at 1 a.m. He wanted Tamra to have Gretchen come get him, or he would basically out their relationship. Jay, that's the gentleman who is the quote-unquote stalker of Gretchen, told Tamra and her husband Simon that he had been dating Gretchen for a long time and that Jeff was paying Gretchen to take care of him. But this guy kept calling, Tamra said. Gretchen said she's not dating Jay now. Tamra asked if he was with her at Bass Lake. Gretchen said, yes, my family was there. He's a family friend. Tamra said, I thought you said he was a stalker. Tamra later got a call from Gretchen where Gretchen said Jay was an old boyfriend, now a stalker. How did Gretchen end up out with this guy? She was at a party with mutual friends. She explained. She offered to drive him home. He tried to make a move on her, and she refused and told him to get out of the car. Now let's jump to what Jeff, who is Gretchen's ex-sugar daddy fiance, who was dying of leukemia, who eventually passed, family, specifically his ex-wife, said about Gretchen Rossi. We've done this before, but it goes really well with this story. Exclusive, Jeff Beitzel's ex-wife Sharon lashes out against Gretchen Rossi. This is, again, in 2009. Now, this is where the ex-wife brings up Jay in particular. The ex-wife says Gretchen screwing around on Chris with Jeff and on Jeff with Jay and Jay with Slade naturally would have its downside. And if Gretchen believed that all of this would remain secret, means that she is about as intelligent as a box of rocks. So Jay exposed her. She earned all the disrespect she's been given and gives to others. And if she believes she deserves an iota of respect at all, well, I'm back to the box of rocks intellect again. The fact is, Jeff was never going to marry her, and she knows it, but likes to play it like they were so much in love. Gee, wonder why. I've known Jeff for 25 years, and I did visit him in August while he was in the hospital, at which time we talked a lot. What I know is totally different than what Gretchen portrays, which means I know the truth, and she knows that I know the truth. Sometimes I feel pity for her, which is about the most I can feel given all of her lies over the course of time. Now, this is where we get to the fun part, which is how did Gretchen actually get the house she's living in and some of the things that seem really hard for an influencer to get once you've lost your TV show for many, many years? Well, it turns out that Gretchen must be pretty good with her money because she was given by Jeff, the sugar daddy guy who died of leukemia, $2.5 million. Let me show you. Real Housewives of Orange County, Gretchen Rossi says her late fiance didn't leave her millions and millions of dollars, and she's right. He only left her $2.5 million. We got to look at Jeff Beitzel's trust, amended a month before his death, and even though Rossi tried to make it look like he didn't leave her much, she actually pulled in a pretty penny. Gretchen was awarded $2.5 million, some of which she collected from Beitzel's life insurance policy. Rossi not the only one who sounds disappointed about the dough. We hear some of Beitzel's 5 ex-wives aren't too happy with her haul either. FYI, it seems Rossi's already moved on. She's been spotted recently with Slade Smiley. So then it gets legal following that season 4 reunion, Rossi versus Photoglou. So here's the basic of the lawsuit. Gretchen sued Jay for assault, stalking, threats, theft of nude photos, and interfering with her business deals. And Jay countersued Gretchen for defamation, libel, slander, false light, for calling him a stalker on TV and in interviews. So then they go to trial and the judge dismisses Jay's claims about the reunion episode because he signed a standard TV release form. So he basically signed his rights away, and since it was all based around this, his defamation claim, it went bye-bye. And then they went to jury trial on the remaining claim, and that was about Gretchen. And because she showed real damages and that he did all these awful things to her, she was awarded $523,250, and Jay got $0. Then they end up going to appeal because Jay is not happy, so he appeals it, and there's a ruling in the case that shifts things slightly. The release form can't protect Gretchen from intentional defamation. California law says you can't sign away someone's liability for intentional wrongdoing, but the jury verdict still stood because Jay failed to prove the threshold for actual malice. And so he couldn't prove his case anyway, so he still got nothing. And so, his damages didn't equate to anything. Jay tried to duck paying Gretchen Rossi with everything in his being. He actually filed for bankruptcy and tried to get rid of the judgment against him that she had and lose it in the bankruptcy court. But when the judge looked at his bankruptcy, he said, sorry, I'm not going to let you discharge this judgment, which is really extraordinary, actually. So he essentially had to keep the judgment. And then with fees and interest and everything else that Gretchen was awarded because he never paid it, it went up to $800,000. And I don't think he actually ever paid any of it. But she has a judgment against him that keeps generating revenue that I suppose she could have put a lien on something if he owned it and maybe she acquired it. We don't know. Or she never got anything and then it expired after 5 years. There's not much Gretchen could do about it. You can't, take blood from a stone, unfortunately. And he appears to be a stone. So this was interesting. A law firm did an analysis of the case and they said that Jay Photoglou said that he was her secret boyfriend the whole time and that, she cheated on Jeff, her primary boyfriend and fiance on Orange County, the older gentleman who dies of leukemia. But he contends that that was just a made-up thing for the show. In this paragraph, they state that, here, I'll quote it, he contends they dated exclusively for more than a year while she was engaged to another man on the show who was dying of leukemia. According to Photoglou, he was Rossi's secret boyfriend and her engagement to the other man was staged for the television show. This case deals with the aftermath of that relationship. So Gretchen denied that she ever dated Photoglou during her time with Jeff, even though his friends and family thought she did. And of course, Jay was making sure that all of, the housewives thought she was too, because his view was they were. So it was kind of her word against his. But in the end, he couldn't really establish that they had some monogamous relationship in the timeline about it beyond being like socially together. It could have been, but he couldn't get it across the line. So I heard a bunch of rumors about the guy who leaked to the women on the show that Tamra Judge was sharing all the show storyline ahead of time and all that stuff. And allegedly, his voice was distorted, obviously, in that scene, but they're going to distort it even more, and it's going to show up at the reunion. And we don't know, I guess, if it's this week or next week, but that's the word on the street, is that that character or whatever that had the muffled voice is going to make an appearance. I heard his voice gets even more muffled, and it's really hard to make out anything. But I heard that there were rumors that he has an accent, and that's why it's so distinguishable that you would know who it is. And I'm trying to think, it's a New York guy maybe, or someone with an accent that does, I guess, gossip, influencer, Bravoland. That's the rumors. Meanwhile, Vicki did a promo with Tamra Judge. They're friends again, and she did this video where she covered them seeing each other for the first time since they feuded.
Where are we going today?
We're going to Tamra's. So Tamra and I partnered with Flav City, and I'm on my way to her house. And I didn't think my car knew where she lived. I haven't seen her in 400 years. Where am I going? Where am I going? It's probably not good because Shannon's going to shit in her pants. Oh, we went to the bathroom. Seriously? Tamra Judge, Vicki Gunvalson. I haven't been on the guest list in forever.
How you feeling? Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous. It's just weird to be going to her house when we're frenemies. But I still love her. Now what?
Turn right onto...
For God's sake. And we're late. She's probably not going to answer the door when I Okay, we lost some kids. Move over to the sidewalk.
They need to get out of the road.
Why are they there? Do their parents know? They have no helmets. It's scary. Okay, I know where I'm at now.
Next stop is on your left, Tamra Judge. Arrived at Tamra Judge's home.
Okay. Hi, Tim. We're here. Hey, Sugar Tits, if you don't come out soon, I'm leaving. We already texted you that we're here. Sugar Tits. Vicki.
Tamra is clearly trying to get Vicki Gunvalson back on the show, and if Tamra doesn't get fired over the screeners being dropped, I think Tamra also would like to see, besides Katie coming back, Alexis Bellino. so she's been kind of plugging Vicki and Alexis and Katie. Here's them at a viewing party for the Real Housewives of Orange County reunion season 19. No, if Gretchen's coming back, I'm pretty sure they're going to reach out to Kelly Dodd. So get ready. I almost forgot before I do the recap. Kim D and I are doing a live. Join us on YouTube Saturday, 3 p.m. East Coast time, 12 noon Pacific Standard. Freddie is going to call in if he can straight from BravoCon with like all the tea he's been able to gather. And he's really like me. He's got a high threshold of what's good and what's not, so that should be exciting. And Kim D and I are also going to talk about sort of gossip that's been dropped that's, on the feeds and things we've heard from friends and all that. So I hope you join us. It's going to be a load of fun. So the beginning of the reunion, we're just wrapping up where we left off. And Tamra brings up that, she doesn't talk about Gretchen. And Gretchen's like, yeah, but you hurt me 15 years ago when you brought up my affair with Jay, who I talked about earlier on the show. And you made that whole thing the way you did. And so she was still pissed about that, Gretchen. And Tamra's just like, I don't talk about you, Gretchen. You talk about me. And then Gretchen's like, you do on your show, but she doesn't actually because, Tamra and I don't get along anymore because of Teddy. But the truth is that Tamra doesn't talk about Gretchen on her show because she's not allowed to. Like maybe after the season's over. So then we jump and it's between Jennifer and Tamra's trying to prove that Jennifer tried to become like her to get on the show. And Andy's like, wait a minute, you brought her on the show, Tamra. You brought Jen on the show, so why are you upset that she wanted to get on the show? That makes no sense. And then Tamra tries to argue why she thinks Jen was trying to be her. And Jen's like, none of the things you're saying are true. And as she kind of gets into it with Tamra, we realize that Jennifer is right. Like nothing Tamra's saying really stands. And so Andy's like, listen, maybe what you're noticing is that Jen's having a glow up from being in Orange County and she's starting to look like all the women there because they all kind of look like you and Jen. You, Tamra, and Jennifer Pedranti, mostly. So that was kind of where that scene ends. And then there's a little bit of a bomb dropped where Tamra clarifies that she thinks Jennifer Pedranti cheated twice on Will with Ryan Boyajian, but also with a yoga instructor that she knew in her old studio. Dun, dun. So then the next part comes up, and really it's about Jennifer Pedranti finally finding her independence. She's not in a big rush to marry Ryan Boyajian. She's happy being engaged. We find out that Will and Ryan and her got together, and Will owned all the bad things he had done to Jennifer Pedranti in front of Ryan, and thanked Ryan for taking his kids in. And Jennifer Pedranti said that I am the breadwinner of our family, which I think means Ryan Boyajian too. Take that in. And now me and my kids, no matter what, are going to be okay. And I've got sole custody of the kids now. So it's, it's all good. And so you really get this sense of like a very different Jennifer Pedranti now that she's getting her own big paycheck, right? She's now, in charge, if you will. And she's not ready to give up those reins. The women compliment her and they're like, good for you. Had you rushed into a marriage with Ryan, it would have been a really bad thing. I think Jennifer kind of gets that. I think she's not quite sure if she needs to get married, maybe. And I think that's smart for loads of reasons. But so we see some great resolution in her life. Andy Cohen seems proud of her. I think he's proud that he gave her the opportunity to get her freedom in a way in this case. And then we get into some petty stuff where Heather Dubrow is upset the women made fun of her trying to be a comedian now and doing like comedy and stuff. And she's like, every time I bring up my career, everybody makes fun of me. And like, it makes me feel bad. Like, why me, you know? And Andy's like, well, you're one of the more actually accomplished actresses of all of everybody. So, you know, you shouldn't feel that way. And Heather's like, maybe I overreacted. And then Gina and her make up because Gina shaded her a lot on the confessionals in regards to that, which kind of hurt Heather's feelings. And then Shannon got like annoyed. She had to go to the bathroom. They wouldn't take a break. She's trying to mouth words to Andy. She's like, Heather, pipe down. It's like nobody said anything really that derogatory about you being a comedian. And Gina's like, I'm really proud that I can tell Shannon how I really feel, because a lot of women on the cast feel like they can't because she shuts down or doesn't want to be their friend anymore. But somehow I get away with it. And we see like a glimpse of some of the dynamics behind the scenes, which is obviously Shannon's difficult. So that's that. Emily is now supporting Jennifer in this new independence because she was frustrated with Jennifer before because she was using money to buy nice things instead of paying off her bills. But looks like the investment because she's still on Housewives. You guys must think I'm psychic. Remember I did all those shows recently about Matt and Nicole. Well, they kind of make an appearance on the reunion tonight. If you don't know who they are, Matt was Ryan Boyajian's funder in his real estate development deals, but also he was the guy that Ryan Boyajian got interviewed by the FBI about to do with Matt's bookie business, because Matt got indicted for having a bookie business. And this all came through like a shakedown with a baseball player. You remember this whole thing. Well, his wife is Nicole, and Nicole and Jennifer Pedranti are really good friends. Nicole was like Matt's like supportive wife through the years as he did the bookie business, and she had a child with him. Anyway, Matt did go off to prison and he's serving, but it was pretty clear to me that Jennifer and Nicole were tight. So I had a feeling she was going to try to get her on the show because she needs money bad because they're broke now because the feds took all of their money. Although I do think Nicole stashed a little. You can know that from my show. I did a whole deep dive on those two. And I questioned if Ryan Boyajian was still involved in Matt's bookie business because I can't figure out how Ryan makes money. Ryan was a professional gambler for Matt. And of course, Matt invested some of the money that he made in gambling in Ryan. So I was like, with Matt in jail and not, you know, having money anymore, and he can't make money the way he did, how is Ryan getting money? Because he still lives in this big house, and it's from my friends or, you know, nearby. And they were like, it's huge and big and expensive. And nobody knows how that's all happening. Except I guess Jennifer Pedranti's making enough on Housewives. So that's what kind of, you know, has been going down. But Matt's scandalous, and Nicole is too. And I did a whole deep dive over a few shows of them. It's in the Patreon. So anyway, so that's that. Anyway, that gets discussed that Katie found Matt like being driven off to prison by Nicole and like walked up to them and was like, is it true that Ryan Boyajian's part of your bookie business? And they didn't answer the question. They just were like pretty clear she was trying to get information, and they just shut it down. And then they called Ryan to tell Ryan that Katie was digging about him, you know, being more involved in Matt's bookie business than everybody was making out. And I totally know why Tamra thinks that and got Katie to do that, because that's pretty obvious what happened. But it didn't work. And Jen found out while she was at the reunion that this had all happened. Meanwhile, Katie's been pretty much cut out of the reunion, except when Matt, her husband, arrives, and now we're about to get into it. Now, Jennifer Pedranti, I feel like she got a tummy tuck and then worked out really hard and ate really clean to get her stomach the way that it looks. I feel like I found that somewhere when she first started and covered it. Now, I think later Tamra weaponized it and then, it kind of got lost in the shuffle when that happened. But I feel like that did happen. And, but a fan complimented her on her stomach, and goddamn, that stomach is fabulous. And I should be there at the rate that I'm going by next year, believe it or not, because I'm on a super strict diet and I'm working out every day. So I'm right behind you, Jen, although I don't have a tummy tuck, but I need one for my C-section, which I hate. But anywho, that's for another day. So we then jump to Jennifer and Katie going back and forth. You can tell they really were friends and are pissed at each other for real, because it's not so easy to be dramatic and let it go. Katie has learned the hard way what a lot of people have said about Jennifer Pedranti behind the scenes in real life, which is that she's not a girl's girl. That she doesn't stand by her girlfriend. She stands by her man. It's always man-centric. She's not good at calling girls back. She ghosts a lot of girls. Girls have said she betrayed them with Ryan. The list goes on and on. So Jennifer is a fun friend to watch act out being a friend in Housewives land, but she is not in real life a girl's girl, where you'd be call her and get a million text messages back, or she's going to run to lunch with you and leave Ryan at home. No. Nope. So Katie's learned that whether she lied or not, Jen was never going to have her back in the same way that Katie had hers when Ryan Boyajian was, almost indicted, which I'd be pissed too. And I stand with Katie on this one, even if she was lying about the whole thing. So Matt enters the chat and he's raring to go. He's done his homework and he is ready and he wants to stick up for Katie. And he just basically says, listen, I didn't know about the Naked and Wasted TV show crap. I was at dinner and I listened to a story that Slade and Gretchen told in the context that Tamra was dangerous and this was why. And what was cited was that she got drugged and had to go to the hospital. And he's like, that's what I understood. And then when Tamra was in New Orleans, I got a 911 text from Slade, and Gretchen confirmed that Slade did send that text. And then they get aggressive with each other. And Gretchen's like, well, you brought up that the first time you met Tamra Judge's husband, Eddie, you thought he was gay. You could tell he was gay. And he's like, I don't want to talk about that, but whatever. Wasn't that? Honestly, you guys, every single human being that I have ever spoken to that has met Eddie, and I know a few, have all said they thought he was gay. So I don't know why, but he's not, apparently. So, rumors he kisses guys occasionally, but he's with Tamra for years, unless God, could he be her beard? Anyway, but that's another dive. Have I done that dive? I feel like I have. Anyway, so Matt is ready to go, though. He's like, if we're going to let it all out, let's let it all out. Now, I have to respect that he came, because Ryan Boyajian and Slade did not. They were obviously afraid to face Matt and have this conversation because they obviously have something to hide. Now, I feel pretty confident, even with all things said, that Gretchen said something that really made Matt and Katie believe they hadn't stepped out of bounds with the way they described it. Now, maybe Katie embellished it a little bit. I could see that for the show, right? But it sounds like it had a starting point. Maybe Gretchen and Slade. Drunk, speaking out of bounds, and on the fly, and maybe not totally remembering what they said. Same could be said for Jennifer Pedranti. She could have been wasted. So, that's not unusual for Mastros, even though it's steak. Anyway, sadly, Matt doesn't get the vindication that he's looking for, because Gretchen starts throwing out statistics about, how it was only an 11-minute phone call and it was 2 texts, not 1. And so who knows what the hell happened. I have no doubt Slade, though, text Matt 911 because he was trying to figure out what was going on, that, this all erupted. And so I think he was trying to do damage control. I do think that Slade probably sometimes gossips when he's drinking, and he maybe takes it too far and then regrets what he says later. I could see that happening. That's what I really think happened. Yeah. But then maybe Katie and Matt added to it a little. But Jen Pedranti just abandoning Katie like she did. even though you'd be like, listen, that's a serious thing you alleged. If you didn't hear it, you were like, I can't stand by that. But Katie, I stand by you. So she could have separated it and said, listen, I don't approve of what Katie did with this whole thing because I didn't hear it. But I can tell you my position is I fully support Katie. And I'm going to stand by her side because she's my friend. And I don't just ditch my friends when there's a problem. But we don't see that from Jen. And that you guys are going to have to think about because she seems like an every woman for herself type gal, which is maybe why she's done so well on the show. But I know you guys don't like that. So you'll probably start hating on her any minute. 3, 2, 1. All right, you guys, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. If for no other reason than her damn tummy is so perfect. And yes, I'm jealous. All right, bye, you guys.